This is the Content Marketing Podcast, episode number 215. It's not me, it's you. Top 10 reasons why people break up with content marketing. Hello and welcome to the Content Marketing Podcast. This is the show where we hope you grow your tribe and your bottom line through insanely good content. I'm your host, Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and today is February 23rd, 2017. Hello, or as we say in Texas, howdy, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and now Google Play Music, so if you like what you hear, please feel free to click on over and subscribe. Also, I invite you to download our complimentary audio and ebook, B2B Content Marketing, from the blog to the bottom line. Grab your free copy to learn how to drive engagement at each stage of the B2B sales process. To get your copy, go to resonancecontent.com/resources, and it will be the second link on the page. And there's also lots of other cool stuff there, absolutely free just for you. Okay, I want to give a shout out to a new friend, Megan, who just connected with me on LinkedIn. She sent me a request just this week, and after I accepted, she was kind enough to send me a little message about how much she enjoys the Content Marketing Podcast and how much she's looking forward to enjoying future episodes. So, Megan, thank you so much, and we are delighted to have you in our happy little community. By the way, if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I would love to have you as part of my network, and you can find me at linkedin.com/in/resonance content. Make sure you put the in there or it won't work. So linkedin.com/in/resonance content. Also, I just wanted to share with you an experience I had yesterday. I had a fabulous time speaking to the SMPS chapter. This is the, I hope I don't get this wrong, Society for Marketing Professional Services. So these are marketers in the fields of architecture, engineering, and construction. Anyway, I had a wonderful time, and someone walked up to me afterwards, and she said, the essence of what she said was, "Thank you so much for making this simple and easy to understand." And she was just so happy. She said, "I go to content marketing presentations all the time, and they're just so over my head that I just get stressed out, and I go back to my office and I have no idea what to do. So, we wind up not doing anything because we just never got that clear direction on how simple really content marketing is." And that was a great affirmation, because sometimes I think, well, I should be, thinking big thoughts and doing the guru thing and using words like paradigm more often. So, but that's just not me. I'm simple girl, and content marketing really is simple. That's how I approach it, and that's how I convey it in all of my content. So that was that was a nice affirmation. So the person who came up to me, if you are listening, thank you so much. That comment really it touched my heart. Okay, last week we visited with an old friend. I'm talking about email and getting an update on what's going on with email for 2017. If you happen to miss that episode, feel free to check it out on iTunes or via the RSS feed. So this is February, the month of love. Even though Valentine's Day is a couple of weeks past, we're still kind of in the love mood. And sometimes, I'm sorry to say, love grows cold. Yeah, and what was sweet turns sour. Yes, I'm talking about the content marketing breakup. So today we're going to look at the top 10 reasons why people break up with content marketing and how we can avoid those missteps in our own practices. But first, it's time to check in with our news feed for this week's rundown of news you can use. Big news out of Facebook. They have rolled out some major updates for the video platform, 4 to be precise. The first is they are bringing sound to videos in newsfeed. To autoplaying videos in newsfeed. Now, I just want to mention, it sounded like most of these updates have to do with the Facebook mobile platform. I didn't see any indication that they affected the desktop experience. So if you use Facebook on your desktop, these may or may not affect what you see in the coming weeks. Anyway, so videos currently autoplay in silent mode. You scroll through your newsfeed and you see videos playing, but there's no sound. Well, what's going to happen with this update is that as you scroll through your newsfeed, again, they're only talking about mobile, the sound will fade in and out as you pass different videos. Now, the videos will not play if your phone is set to silent, and you will have a way to opt out of the you will have a way to disable autoplay sound for videos. It's going to be in the settings that you're going to be able to do that. So I know I'm going to be doing that because I do not like being bombarded with sound that I did not ask for. So this may be a good thing. It may not. I don't know. Like I said, I will be opting out. But, if you do videos with a strong sound component, then people will at least hear a snippet of it as they are scrolling through their videos. So I guess that's good. Good for us. Good for our brands, right? The second update is how Facebook handles vertical videos. So these are videos that are shot instead of lengthwise, instead of kind of movie orientation with more length than height. Yes. So landscape mode. Snapchat has actually made the vertical video acceptable again. So what Facebook did is last year they tested a larger preview of vertically shot videos in Newsfeed on mobile devices. Again, they're just talking about mobile. The response was positive, so the larger format is now available to anyone watching in iOS and Android devices. So if you have an iOS or Android device, you will see a larger preview of videos that happen to be shot vertically. The third update is it's a kind of, if you've used your TV's picture-in-picture mode, that's what they're doing with videos. So you may start watching a video, but you may kind of want to have it running in the background while you keep scrolling. Well, Facebook is launching a picture-in-picture view that lets the video play in a corner of your screen while you continue scrolling. And if you use an Android device, you can even keep that video playing on your screen if you switch to another app on your phone. So pretty cool feature from Facebook. The fourth and final update is the Facebook app for TV. If you've always wanted to watch Facebook videos on a bigger screen, you're about to get your wish. Facebook has announced a new Facebook video app for TV, which will roll out soon to app stores for Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Samsung Smart TV, with several more platforms to come. So if you want to see those videos from your nephew's third birthday party on a big screen, then you are about to be able to do just that. So lots and lots of exciting stuff coming out of Facebook for video users. Okay, some news out of Twitter. God, poor Twitter. I have no idea. I was in front of this group yesterday. They were asking about different social platforms, and I said, honestly, I don't know where Twitter's going. But anyway, they have announced a new feature that users will now see periscopes surfaced in the top trends section of the Explore tab. So if you go to Twitter, again on your mobile device, you will see the Explore tab, which is the the top trending things going on, and you will see periscopes near the top of that and live videos. So while they're going on, they will be marked with a red live stamp, and will offer the same viewing experience as within the Periscope app. So you'll be able to heart and comment on videos, and you can also retweet those videos. So I guess this is good. Does anyone use Periscope anymore? I just think Facebook Live has taken over that space. And, again, I said Twitter as a whole. I have honestly, when I saw this story, I wanted to check it out so that I could report on it. And I was like, where is the Explore tab? And actually to pull out my device and go, oh, it's there. It's a little magnifying glass. And then, tapping on that. So, Twitter, God bless you, love. I hope you figure out what you need to figure out and come out back on top, because I do enjoy Twitter and hope it survives. Okay, our content hit of the week is another Whiteboard Friday video from our friends at Moz. I just love these videos. They are they're concise. They're probably about, I want to say, anywhere between 10 and 18 minutes. And they're hosted by Rand Fishkin, a blog of Moz, who is always amusing. And so this one is called How to Prioritize Your Link Building Efforts and Opportunities. Now, link building kind of got a bad rap for a while because it was people were doing it spammily. Is that an adverb? Spammily? In a spamming way? Sure, why not? But it became a big practice among spammers. And but it still is a legitimate practice when done correctly. And it's one of those things that I gotta say mea culpa, because I know it's effective. I know I should be doing it, but man, every time I dip my toe into that link building world, I get totally overwhelmed and it never goes anywhere. So that is what the always awesome Rand Fishkin and the team at Moz are talking about. They have put together a framework that you can start using today to streamline and simplify the link building process. And he said you can build this process for you, for your teammates, and even get your interns involved. So, really good information, entertaining as we always expect from the Moz team. So I will provide the link in the blog post for this episode. Okay, that's it for this week's update. If you stumble across something you think might be of interest to your fellow content marketers, feel free to tweet it to me at @RageParker so that we can share. Now it's time for this week's Spotlight segment. It's not me, it's you. Top 10 reasons why people break up with content marketing. So we are rolling into the end of February. This is actually our last podcast for the month of February. Hard to believe. But, it's the month of love. It's the month of Valentine's Day. It's a month where we're inundated with hearts and flowers and sappy movies and all that good stuff. So we have love on the brain. But as I said in the intro, sometimes love goes south. And when we think about our romance with our audience, that we keep going with our content marketing, sometimes that romance takes a wrong turn and we have the breakup. People unsubscribe from our e-newsletters. They stop following our blog. They unfollow us on social media. Not us, of course, because I know for a fact the listeners to this podcast are the best and brightest that the content marketing universe has to offer. We're talking about other people, right? This is why they break up with other people, but it's what we can learn from those missteps and how we can avoid having that same having breakups in the future, because it's hard on everybody, right? Breaking up is hard to do, as the song goes. So I put together a list of the top 10 reasons why people break up with content marketing. Reason number 1, bad writing. I mean, I could just stop right there and move on to number 2, but bad writing is just, it will not keep people coming back. I mean, sure, if you have a catchy headline and you're covering a hot topic, people might latch on to your blog post or your social media post. But if the writing is not there, people are just not going to come back. No matter how compelling your topics are, no matter how many SEO keywords you use in there, people are just not going to trust you to communicate effectively if you have bad writing. And there's just no way around it. And I see companies all the time. They say, "Oh, we're just going to write our own website. We're going to let our engineers write it." Please stop. No, I mean, there's this idea among many companies that writing is just writing. Hey, I write emails, I write tweets, I write my Facebook posts. People think they're funny, so I'm going to write this website or I'm going to write this blog by myself. And sometimes they do have the writing skills to do it, in an engaging way and in following the best practices of content marketing. But man, there's a lot of bad content out there. Oh my goodness. I encounter it every single day. So how can we avoid the bad writing bugaboo that causes people to break up with us? We need to invest in good writing. We need to invest, if you are If you're part of a content creation team in your company, you need to invest your time and effort. And I know it's hard because we all have a lot on our plates, but, we've got to do this right. And there's this tendency or this temptation, let's say, to say, oh, it's just our blog. How many people are going to see this anyway? And it's really easy to kind of slip into that mentality, but we've got to invest time and effort in good writing. And if you are working with freelancers to get that content written for you, good writing costs money. I'm sorry to say, chances are you're not going to go on Fiverr and find someone who can write effective content for your brand and for your target audience. So make sure you invest in good writing to avoid that particular breakup, that cause for breakup. That's all I'm going to say about that. Reason number 2 why people break up with content marketing is irrelevant content. So I've been talking to a prospective client in the funeral home business. Now, he and his team have been partnering with this, and I say quote unquote, content marketing agency that has been doing their social media. And he said, Rachel, it's just so generic what they put out there for us that we can't use it, or we can't really have that on our page. We're just not happy with it. They would do things like, hey, it's National Bagel Day. Have a bagel with lots of cream cheese. And he's thinking, well, on the way to the funeral, they're supposed to get a bagel or serve bagels at the funeral. And it's not that everything we put out there has to be joined at the hip to what we do, but there is that element of relevance. It's got to be relevant for people to want to come back or to want to follow us and to want to engage with our content over and over again. So how do we avoid this irrelevancy bugaboo? We've got to know our audiences very, very well. You don't want to hear that speech again. I talk about that all the time. We've got to know these folks through and through, and we've got to find that point of, here's that word again, resonance, where what we have to say resonates with what they're looking for. And we need to be very conscious of that point of resonance in everything that we do. And it's got to be relevant to what is on their minds, what is on their hearts, what's keeping them up at night, what their interests are, et cetera, et cetera. So, National Bagel Day for a funeral home. Yeah, maybe not. Reason number 3 why people break up with content marketing is content overload. Oh my gosh. I downloaded a resource from a guru a few days ago, and I am getting emails from this woman probably every day, if not every 2 or 3 days. And I am just about to unsubscribe because I really like the resource I downloaded from her. These emails that she sends they contain good content, but good God, leave me alone for a week. Okay, enough. I don't want to have you in my inbox every single time I open it. And this is especially relevant for email marketing. On social media, we are begging for reach as it is. So if we were to overpost on social media, I don't know if anyone would notice the difference because reach is so crappy. But with email, we've got to be conscious of people's time and awareness, and just, they only want to see our name in their inbox so many times per week or per month. So the solution to that is just be very aware of, or be very respectful of your audience's time, and also to recognize diminishing returns. Content overload isn't just annoying to our audience; it's not good for us. It's like I said, diminishing returns. It's watering down the total of what we have to offer if we're always sending emails, if we're always if we're trying to blog every day or overload in some other way. So know when there's a time to scale back and when there's a time to focus on quality rather than quantity. Reason number 4 why people break up is, making it all about you. Yes. When all of your content is me, here's what we're doing, here's what's hip, here's what's cool, here's why we're amazing. People don't want to see that. They just don't want to see that. That's what your website's for, okay? That's what your trade show booth is for. And, when I was researching this speaking engagement for SMPS this week, I was looking out there for in their industries for some good examples of blogging and also of social media. And I had a hard time because these people were making it all about them. Their blog posts were just basically reworked press releases. Here's what we're doing. We're moving into this new office space and we're partnering with this company and we had this new technology and here's what we're doing here, and there. And their social media posts were the same way. And even if you are doing cool stuff, even if you are, populating Mars or whatever it is that you're doing, it's not about you. It's got to be about your audience. And, with all romances, it can't be all one way, right? It's got to be about both people's needs. So take a look at your again, none of these are mistakes that any of you are making. I know, because you are the best that the content marketing world has to offer. But just to keep in mind, if you think that, you may have done a couple of blog posts in a row that were a little bit self-centered, you might want to look at that and to correct it as you move forward. Reason number 5 people break up with content marketing is not speaking their language. And this involves things like overuse of corporate speak. You've seen it before. And either talking over their heads or talking down to them. We need to be aware of our audience's knowledge level and sophistication level. So if you are talking to programmers, you don't want to be explaining what bytes are, But if you were talking to average, maybe older computer users, you may need to go and explain those terms. So again, so many of these things come down to knowing your audience and to serving their needs. And the corporate speak, how do people talk about your products and services? Not forget how you talk about it within the office, but how do regular people talk about it? And I'm going to share. I'll share an example with you. I was working with one of the large hospital systems here in Houston, and I was interviewing this top cardiac surgeon. And this is a little graphic, by the way, so I apologize in advance. But he was talking about this procedure that he basically invented for dealing with heart tumors. So he's describing how the process goes. He says, okay, then we excise the heart. I said, okay, so you take it out. He said, no, we excise it. I said, you take it out, right? He says, well, when we I said, okay, what do you do when you excise? He said, well, we do this, this, and this, and then we lift the heart out of the chest cavity. I said, okay, you take it out. He said, fine, we take it out. But that's just one example. To him, excise is the word you use for this part of the procedure. That's not going to resonate with the people who want to learn more about this wonderful new process for dealing with heart tumors. It's not going to, even if they know what it means, it's not speaking their language that they use when they talk about this stuff. So, we've got to know our audience and how they speak, how they refer to the things that we're talking about. Reason number 6, content is nothing more than thinly veiled sales pitches. Sell, sell, sell. That's what your content is all about. And I've had to work with clients sometimes when I start working with them, they are so sales oriented that it's hard for them to realize that the purpose of content is not to sell. The content is never going to sell your products and services. It's about thought leadership. It's about getting your brand out there. It's about building relationships. So, and I see so many pieces of content out there with titles like how to increase revenues by 345%. And you click on it and all it is a client success story saying, okay, these people wanted to increase their revenues. They came to us, we helped them, and now their revenues are 300%, have grown by 300%. If you want to grow your revenues by this much, you need to sign up with us for whatever it is they do. Okay, that really pisses people off. Pardon my French, but that really, really pisses people off. And people remember stuff like that, and they will probably not be back to visit your content. So, there's a time and a place for selling, and it's not in your content. Okay. Not to say that you can't close out a relevant, engaging blog post with a call to action that brings people into your sales funnel. Maybe close a blog post with an invitation to download a resource or to request a demo, that's perfectly fine. But you don't want your content to be about why your products and services are amazing, why people should buy immediately. Again, to us, that's content marketing 101, but it's a mistake I see so often out there in the content or in the content universe. And this is causing a lot of breakups because people do not engage with content to see a sales pitch. They're looking for information, they're looking for engagement, they're looking for people who understand them, their thoughts, their challenges, their hopes and dreams for the future. It's not about pushing product and pushing services. Number 7, why people break up with content marketing, those cheesy attention-grabbing techniques. You know what I mean? The all caps in the social posts, the wonderful clickbait. Oh my gosh, can we just eradicate clickbait from the surface of the planet? If you don't know what clickbait is, you've seen it a lot, I'm sure. Little girl eats a peanut butter sandwich. You won't believe what happens next. Or 5 beauty tips that will blow your mind. I mean, just these absolutely ridiculously exaggerated headlines that are in there. That's all it is. They're clickbait. They want people to click on them. I will say I have never had my mind blown by a piece of content. I'm just never. I've found some great ideas. I've found some wonderful insights, but my mind has remained firmly in place. It has not been blown anywhere. So, those cheesy attention-grabbing techniques, I once worked with a freelancer on one of my B2B clients, and I had to tell her, please tone it down with the exclamation points. Okay, we want a sense of excitement. We want to be engaging, but just remember, this is B2B. So, tone it down. And, I see that all the time. I see the all caps. I see the clickbait and, those cheesy things that say, I crave attention. Look at me, notice me, turns people off after a while. Reason number 8, why people break up with content marketing, bad videos, okay? There's a lot of bad video out there. Just like there's a lot of bad writing, there's a lot of bad videos. They're too long. They meander around. They have no point. They're badly produced. So, and by badly produced, I mean like you can barely see the person and the sound is awful. And God forbid with the cheesy graphics and sound effects. Now if that's part of your brand, that works for you. My friend Karen McCullough is a fantastic professional speaker. That's what she does. And she produces these really fun, cute videos with really cute graphics and cute sound effects. And that's part of her brand. And it's always very well done. It's not done in a cheesy way. So, if the graphics and the sound effects are part of your brand, go for it. But for most of us, especially if you're in the B2B space, probably want to tone it down a little bit. Now, when I want to get back to production quality, things like lighting and sound. Your videos do not have to look like Hollywood productions. In fact, it's better if they don't look like Hollywood productions because people are much more likely to see it as genuine, as something that's not scripted and rehearsed and rehashed many times over and approved by 5 different committees. But it does need to meet a certain standard in terms of quality and, yes, in terms of taste. So let's keep those best practices in mind when we do our videos. Reason number 9 why people break up with content marketing, trying too hard to be funny. I see this all the time. Write this down. There's a big difference between allowing humor to flow into your content and trying to wield humor like a club and just beating people over the head with, I am funny, you will laugh. I was reading a book with one of my book clubs, and the author, I just wanted to shake her and say, okay, you're funny. Stop trying so hard. It's a fine line. It is a fine line. And if you follow my content, I love a good laugh. I love tossing in little snarky comments here and there. But it's all about the content. It's not about you thinking that I am a funny person. And I see, because people say they read those quote unquote best practices from their favorite gurus and say, oh, you need to make people laugh. And they just take that and run with it. But, P.G. Wodehouse, who's one of my favorite authors of all time, he wrote the Wooster and Jeeves series. And he had a wonderful quote. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said, writing humorously is like going to war. Don't even try it unless you know you can win. So, if we're going to use humor, and I do encourage you to let some humor in if it occurs naturally, but don't try to force it. And finally, reason number 10 of why people break up with content marketing is what I can best describe as an absence of joy. When I talk to clients, I say, especially when I coach people, I say, if you view your content marketing as a chore, if it's something you just have to do and it's something else in your to-do list, and let's crank out this blog post, let's crank out these social media posts, let's crank out these emails, let's check it off the to-do list so we can get down to something we really want to be doing, that attitude is going to come through in your content. Even if it is reasonably well written, even if it's all grammatically correct, even if you are following those best practices and formulating your headlines well and using your SEO keywords, even if you're doing everything right on the surface, if there's no joy, if there's no excitement in what you're putting out there, that ennui or that malaise is going to come through, and people are not going to get excited about your content. And when they're not excited about your content, they're not going to be excited about you. So let's be joyful. And I will say, I crank out more content than anybody I know. It's ridiculous. I was telling someone the other day the things that I said, well, I do a blog and I do a podcast and I do a weekly email and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, what kind of lunatic does all this? But, sometimes at 11 o'clock at night, there are things I'd rather be doing than putting together show notes for my podcast. But once I get into it, I get into it. I geek out over this stuff. I love talking about how to help you be a better content marketer. I had a lot of fun with this episode about, the reasons people break up. So there's got to be something in you that is really excited about what you're doing. Let that enthusiasm show. Again, keeping in mind, go easy on the exclamation points, but do let your joy and your enthusiasm for your brand and what you do and the content that you share, do let that enthusiasm shine through. And that is going to be infectious. People are going to see those emails pop up. They're going to see those social posts pop up. They're going to see those blog posts pop up, and they're going to want to engage with your content. So that is the scoop, folks. My take on the top 10 reasons why people break up with content marketing and how we on the good side of the content marketing tracks can avoid them. If you have any questions or want to add to the conversation, hit me up on Twitter at @RachParker. Now it's time for our content marketing tip of the week. When it comes to content, there are certain universals that apply to making any audience happy, regardless of who they are or who you are. And I'm talking about things like good writing, focusing on the audience's needs, not yours, offering unique perspectives on timely topics, etc., etc. But then again, once you get below that surface, each audience has its own personality and its own preferences. Some prefer longer content, some prefer shorter content, some want more text, some want more video, some want more audio. So it's so important to know what your audience's preferences are. What do they want from your content? What makes them most likely to engage? And the best way to find out is to ask them. Ask them what they want. Which topics do they want to see covered? How do they like that content delivered? Are they more email? Are they more, I'm going to bookmark your blog and go to it on a regular basis? They get to know about your content through social. The balance of long form content versus quick tips. So the best way to do that, and we have many tools at our disposal. I like SurveyMonkey. The basic version is free. You can create a wonderful survey, send it out via email, via social media, and of course there are other tools out there as well. So, if you don't know what your audience wants from you, then of course the first thing we do is look at our analytics, right? See what's working already, but we can ask them, and many times they appreciate being asked what they want from your content. And of course, always remember to offer an incentive, like if you want to do a drawing for an Amazon gift card or something cool like that to entice people to participate. And yes, doing surveys, it takes time and effort to put it together, to go through those responses. But I will say getting to know your specific audience's preferences will be an investment that will pay off handsomely. Okay, campers, that's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play Music or via our RSS feed. And if you really like what you've heard, please leave us a quick review on iTunes. I would so appreciate it. Also, remember that my book, The Content Marketing Coach, Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win, is available in book and Kindle format on Amazon. To learn more about the book and to download a free chapter, visit contentmarketingcoachbook.com. As you know, I always like to leave you with a quote, and today's comes from Simon Sinek, or is it Sinek? S-I-N-E-K. I'm never sure how to pronounce it. He once said, quote, "People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it," unquote. And as a matter of fact, Simon wrote a book about this very principle called Start With Why, and I highly recommend it. Put it on your reading list. Again, this is Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care.